I sat on my bed, massaging my swollen knees, trying to gather the courage to face another family dinner. The joint pain had started 6 months ago, first in my knees, then spreading to my hands and ankles. Today was particularly bad, and I knew what awaited me downstairs. Maya, dinner's ready. Mom's voice echoed up the stairs. Taking a deep breath, I gripped the handrail and began my slow descent. Each step sent sharp pains through my knees. Halfway down, my brother Jake emerged from his room. "Oh my God, look who's doing her grandma impression again," he snickered, bounding past me. "Should we get you a walker for Christmas?" I bit my lip, focusing on each step. At 25, I should have been able to run down these stairs. Instead, I moved like I was walking on broken glass. "Maya," Mom's voice had that edge of irritation now. "Your food's getting cold." Finally reaching the bottom, I limped into the dining room. Dad barely looked up from his phone, while Mom set down the lasagna with more force than necessary. "Seriously, Maya," she said, watching me lower myself carefully into my chair. "This act is getting old." "It's not an act," I said quietly, trying to find a comfortable position. "My joints really hurt." Jake rolled his eyes. "Yeah, right. You were fine last year. What changed?" "I don't know," I admitted. "That's why I want to see a specialist." Mom slammed down the salad bowl. "Absolutely not. We're not wasting money on doctors just because you've decided to play victim." "My insurance would cover most of it," I argued. "And something's really wrong. Look at my hands." I held out my fingers, which had become increasingly swollen over the past few weeks. Some mornings I could barely hold my toothbrush. Dad finally looked up from his phone. "You probably just spent too much time typing. Take a break from that graphic design work of yours." "I can barely hold a pencil some days," I protested. "This isn't about work." "Then what is it about?" Mom demanded. "Attention. Jealousy because Jake just got promoted." "What?" Jake smirked across the table. "She's probably just stressed because she's still single. Turns out guys don't find the invalid act attractive, sis." I pushed my plate away, fighting back tears. "I'm making an appointment with a rheumatologist tomorrow." "Don't you dare," Mom warned. "I won't have you wasting doctor's time with this nonsense." "I'm on my own insurance now," I reminded her. "You can't stop me." Dad sighed heavily. "Maya, you're too young for joint problems. It's probably just in your head. Have you tried yoga?" I almost laughed at the absurdity. Yoga, when some days I couldn't even get out of bed without crying from pain. "You know what?" Jake said, reaching for the lasagna. "Let her go. The doctor will tell her she's perfectly fine, and maybe then she'll drop this whole thing." That night, lying in bed, I scrolled through my phone looking at symptoms. The pain, the swelling, the increasing stiffness. It all pointed to something serious. But every time I tried to talk about it, my family shut me down. The next morning, my hands were so swollen I dropped my coffee mug. It shattered on the kitchen floor, sending ceramic shards everywhere. Mom came running in. "Now you're breaking things for attention?" she snapped, grabbing the broom. My fingers wouldn't work. I tried to explain, showing her my hands. She grabbed my wrist, examining my fingers roughly. "They look normal to me. Stop this, Maya. Just stop." But I couldn't stop. The pain was real, consuming and getting worse. That afternoon, I made the appointment with the rheumatologist, a 3-week wait that felt like an eternity. During those weeks, my family's comments became increasingly cruel. Jake started recording videos of me struggling on the stairs, adding funny music to them. Mom told all her friends I was going through a phase. Dad just looked disappointed every time I winced in pain. The morning of my appointment, I could barely get dressed. Mom stood in my doorway, watching me struggle with my buttons. "Last chance to admit this is all in your head," she said. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw something I'd never noticed before. Fear. She was afraid there might actually be something wrong with me. It was easier for her to believe I was faking than face that possibility. "Come with me," I said suddenly, "to the appointment. See for yourself." "Fine," she said after a long pause. "But when the doctor says you're fine, this stops. All of it." What she didn't know was that I'd already sent my blood test results to the rheumatologist. The preliminary numbers had made the nurse call me personally to move up my appointment. As we drove to the clinic, Mom kept glancing at me like she was trying to catch me breaking character. She still thought this was all an act. In a few hours, she would learn how wrong they'd all been. and our family would never be the same. The receptionist called my name, and I stood up slowly, my joints protesting every movement. Mom followed me, her heels clicking impatiently on the tile floor. She had no idea that this appointment would change everything. Not just my diagnosis, but her entire understanding of what it means to believe someone you love. The rheumatologist's office was filled with diagrams of joints and immune systems. Dr. Martinez reviewed my blood work with a gravity that made my mother shift uncomfortably in her chair. Your inflammatory markers are extremely elevated, she said, turning her computer screen to show us charts filled with numbers in red. And your rheumatoid factor is concerning. What does that mean? Mom's voice had lost its usual dismissive tone. Combined with Maya's symptoms and physical examination, these results strongly indicate rheumatoid arthritis, specifically early onset RA. Dr. Martinez turned to me. How long have you been experiencing morning stiffness? About 6 months, I replied, aware of Mom's sharp intake of breath. It takes me almost an hour to be able to move normally some mornings. Dr. Martinez nodded, making notes. And a symmetrical joint pain? Both sides affected equally. Yes, knees, ankles, wrists, fingers. I listed them off while Mom grew increasingly pale. But she's only 25, Mom interrupted. Isn't arthritis for older people? That's a common misconception, Dr. Martinez explained. Rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune condition where the body attacks its own joints. It can occur at any age. In fact, early onset cases can be particularly aggressive if not treated promptly. She pulled up my x-rays. See these areas here? There's already evidence of joint damage beginning. If we had caught this 6 months ago when symptoms started. 6 months? Mom whispered. But that's when she first complained about. When I first told you my joints hurt, I finished quietly, when Jake started calling me Grandma. Dr. Martinez's expression hardened slightly. Maya, how much difficulty are you having with daily tasks? Most mornings I can't button my clothes. Sometimes I can't hold a pen. Stairs are. I glanced at Mom, who was now staring at her hands in her lap. Stairs are really hard. This is serious, Dr. Martinez stated firmly. Without immediate treatment, the joint damage will become permanent. We need to start you on a combination of medications right away. She began explaining the treatment plan: immunosuppressants, anti-inflammatory drugs, possible future biologics. Mom sat there, completely silent, as the doctor detailed how this chronic condition would affect the rest of my life. Will she? Mom's voice cracked. Will she get better? With proper treatment, we can manage the condition and prevent further damage. But this is a chronic disease. There's no cure. Dr. Martinez handed me several prescriptions. You'll need regular monitoring, physical therapy, and lifestyle modifications. As we left the office, Mom walked beside me, matching my slow pace for the first time. In the parking lot, she watched as I struggled with my seatbelt, my fingers refusing to grip properly. Maya, she said softly, I don't know what to say. You could start with I'm sorry for not believing you, I suggested, not looking at her. She started the car but didn't move. I thought you were just what, Mom? Making it up? Enjoying being in pain? Like I wanted to barely be able to walk at 25. Tears started rolling down her cheeks when the doctor said there's already damage we could have prevented. If you'd listened 6 months ago, I finished. If anyone had listened. The drive home was silent except for Mom's occasional sniffles. When we pulled into the driveway, Jake was outside shooting hoops. He bounced the ball toward me with a smirk. How was your dramatic doctor visit, Grandma? Before I could respond, Mom snapped, inside Jake, now. His smirk faded at her tone. We all gathered in the living room, where Mom pulled out the information packets Dr. Martinez had given us. Your sister has rheumatoid arthritis, she announced, her voice shaking. It's serious and it's real, and she took a deep breath, and we've been horrible to her. Jake's face went through a range of emotions: disbelief, shock, and finally shame. But she's too young. That's what we kept saying. Mom cut him off. And we were wrong. Those videos you made of her struggling? Delete them, all of them. Now. As Jake pulled out his phone, looking properly chastised, Dad came home from work. He took in the scene. The medical papers spread out, Mom's tear-stained face, my exhausted posture. The doctor's appointment, he said. What did they say? Mom handed him the diagnosis papers without a word. He read them, his face growing more serious with each page. Princess, he said, using his old nickname for me. I'm so sorry we didn't. Don't, I interrupted. Just, don't. I need you all to understand something. This isn't going away. I'm going to have good days and bad days. Some days I'll need help. Some days I'll be in pain. And I need to know that you believe me, that you'll support me no matter what. The room fell silent as my words sank in. The diagnosis had shocked them, but the real test would be how they handled what came next. Because this was just the beginning of a very long journey, and I couldn't walk it alone, even on the days when I could barely walk at all. 3 months into my treatment, I sat at the kitchen table, methodically doing my hand exercises while Mom prepared breakfast. The changes in our family dynamic were as noticeable as the changes in my joints. Gone were the sarcastic comments and eye rolls. Instead, Jake had installed grip bars in my bathroom and bought me an electric can opener without being asked. Dad had rearranged my home office with ergonomic equipment. And Mom had transformed from my biggest doubter into my fiercest advocate. Did you take your morning medications? She asked, placing a cup of green tea beside me. She'd researched anti-inflammatory diets and completely revamped our kitchen. Yes, I said, carefully bending my fingers. The new combination seems to be helping. She watched me struggle with my exercise ball. Dr. Martinez said it might take 6 months to see the full effects. I know, I managed a small smile. You've been reading those RA forums again, haven't you? She nodded, sitting down beside me. I keep thinking about all the signs we missed. The fatigue you complained about last year. Mom, stop. I reached for her hand. We can't change the past. Your aunt called yesterday, she said suddenly. She asked why we didn't notice sooner. I had no answer. Before I could respond, Jake came in, dressed for his morning run. He'd stopped playing basketball in the driveway. The sound of the bouncing ball had reminded everyone of his cruel jokes. Hey sis, he said softly, need a ride to PT later? That would be great, I replied. Physical therapy had become a regular part of my routine, and Jake had been volunteering to drive me, using the time to gradually rebuild our relationship. Maya, Mom said as Jake left, there's something we need to discuss. I tensed, recognizing her serious tone. Your father and I have been talking. We want you to move back home. Mom, just hear me out. The stairs in your apartment are too much. We could convert the downstairs study into your bedroom. You'd have more support here. I looked down at my hands, which were finally showing slight improvement. I can't let RA take my independence too. It's not taking anything, she insisted. It's us finally giving you the support we should have given you months ago. I need to do this my way, I said firmly. But maybe we could look at first-floor apartments? She nodded, understanding this was my compromise. I'll help you search. Later that afternoon, during physical therapy, I thought about how much had changed. My therapist, Sarah, had become both a medical professional and a confidant. Your range of motion is improving, she noted, helping me with gentle stretches. How's the family support going? I told her about Mom's offer to move home. They're overcompensating, Sarah observed. It's common when families realize they've dismissed serious symptoms. Sometimes I'm still angry about it, I admitted. Not just the dismissal, but the jokes, the accusations of attention-seeking. That's valid, she said. Healing isn't just physical. When Jake picked me up, he was unusually quiet. Everything okay? I asked. He gripped the steering wheel tighter. I found those videos today, the ones of you on the stairs. I hadn't deleted them like Mom told me to. Oh. I watched them again, but this time, he swallowed hard. This time I saw pain, not comedy. How did I not see it before? Because you weren't looking for it, I said simply. None of you were. I was cruel, he stated flatly. Yes, you were. Can you ever forgive me? I looked out the window, watching the city pass by. I'm working on it, just like I'm working on everything else. That evening, Dad called a family meeting. He'd set up a whiteboard in a living room, reminding me of his business presentations. I've been researching, he announced, about how to support family members with chronic conditions. We all stared as he started writing points. Listen without judgment. Validate experiences. Offer practical help. Dad, I started, but he held up his hand. Let me finish. We failed you, Maya. Not just in the months before your diagnosis, but in creating an environment where you didn't feel safe expressing pain. His voice cracked slightly. I'm putting this board in the kitchen. Whenever any of us starts to slip into old habits, it's there to remind us. Mom wiped her eyes while Jake studied the floor. I don't need the board, I said gently. I just need you to remember that some battles aren't visible, and pain doesn't always look the way you expect it to. We remember now, Mom whispered. We'll never forget again. As I drove home that night, my joints aching from the day's activities, I thought about how autoimmune disease had forced my family to confront their own toxic patterns. The medication might be treating my RA, but honesty and accountability were treating something deeper, the pain of not being believed by the people who should have believed in me first. My hands gripped the steering wheel, still stiff but stronger than before. Like my joints, my family relationships were slowly healing, learning new ways to function, adapt, and support. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. And sometimes progress is the best medicine of all.